Well, welcome back to Silverstone, everybody, for the second of our two Sevens Racing Championship races, supported this weekend by Good Stone Supplies, who supply industrial stoning throughout the UK. We've got the grid about to head out onto the circuit. Now, this grid is formed based on the finishing positions from the race that we saw earlier on today, albeit the top 10 in each one of the classes is reversed. So the 420s, the winner, which was Anthony Barnes earlier on, will start from 10th, and the winner of the 320Rs, Ross Ollivant, will start from 10th in his grid. Two separate grids. The 420Rs have their own grid. It's a rolling start, and about 20 seconds later, it's difficult to gauge exactly how far because, of course, it's a rolling start. The 320s and the 270s will go off. Well, hopefully we can guide you through the grid then and the way that they line up, which, as I say, is based on the finishing positions from earlier on, albeit top 10 reserves. Mark Bennett starts from pole position with Tom Greensall alongside, and it's Jamie Elwood and Diogo Costa that line up on row number 2. Row 3 of the grid will be Wes Payne on the inside of that third row of the grid, and he's got Stuart Calder for company, and it's JJ Margelheis and Mark Farmer that line up on row number 4. Row 5 of the grid, Mark Stansfield, who finished second earlier on today, and the race winner with the top 10 reversed, Anthony Barnes, and then it's JJ Margelheis Jr. that lines up alongside Matt Drew on that next row of the grid. Row 7 of the grid is Pete Reimer and Tom Quarrendon, with David Bryalt and Mark Johnson lining up on the 8th row. Row 9 of the grid is Ian Dybel and John Reed, with Adrian Fernandez and Richard Borton on row number 10. Kevin Hassel and Barry Benham are there on row number 11, and Gary Tootle is the last of the 420Rs on row number 12, before we then see Michael Curley, who will line up on the front row of the grid for the 320s. Tim Steele and Scott Parker are next up, ahead of Caroline Everett and Craig Denman on row number 14. And row 15 of the grid is Fraser Riddington, who had a busy old first race, as did Paul Sethi, who he joins on that 15th row of the grid. Then it's going to be Paul Goldstein and Stuart Bell, before we then see the 320R race winner from early on, Ross Ollivant, who has got Simon Sharrock for company. Colin Loughlin is next up, and he has got the car of Alex Coombs. Then it's Rob Good alongside Rob Good on the 19th row of the grid, and then it's Dean Burden and Amanda Anderson that are there on row number 20. Neville Sykes is next up with David Tong, and then on row number 22 that is where we see the car of James McCulloch and Merton Wood. Paul Jepson lines up on the next row of the grid, which will be row number 23, and for company he has got James Hall, and it will be Lee James and Ian Anderson, if they are there, because there are two retirees from the race earlier on today that line up on the final row of the grid. 48 cars again we are expecting. As you say, we get two, you could argue three races for the price of one, because we'll be keeping an eye on what's going on when the front batch of cars go off, which will be all the 420Rs, and then 20 seconds later the 320s and the 270s will get going, all mixed together, and we'll try and pick out certainly who the 270R class leader is. The race victory in that class earlier on today went the way of Alex Coombs, who claimed a win in that, which is his first win of the year. Actually, we haven't seen huge amounts of Alex other than at Brands Hatch, where he finished second in one of the races there, but I think he was the first of the 270 cars home in the race earlier on today. So it's going to be a rolling start. It's going to be a 25-minute race for them, and if you didn't tune in to the first race of the day, supported by Good Stone Supplies, the first question is why not? The second question will be, for the drivers, what they will want to do again is, as I mentioned earlier on, stay in that lead pack. Make sure you're in the lead pack. Doesn't matter whether you're leading or not, but stay in the lead pack, and then you can roll your sleeves up with a few laps to go and work out where you might finish. Best plans laid to one side, it might not quite work out for you, because it's usually the sprint to the line that does it, albeit it wasn't earlier on. Anthony Barnes just did enough to hang on to it down the Wellington Straight. So it's the blue car of Mark Bennett that sits on pole position. It's the largely white and darker blue car of Tom Greensall that's alongside. It's light blue but with an orange stripe down the centre for Jamie Elwood on row number 2, and it's a really light green colour for car number 223, which is Diogo Costa, who lines up there on row number 2. And row 3 of the grid, it's sort of grey and orange for Wes Payne, alongside the red and the gold and the white car of Stuart Calder. So they've got themselves into nice order. The red lights will be on the gantry. There goes the number 28 car just heading through shot, which is Mark Johnson. As I mentioned earlier on, a driver I've raced with in the past, albeit in something far less powerful and not quite as nimble as a Caterham, but they are in neat 2x2 order, ready for this rolling start. Mark Bennett and Tom Greensall on the front row of the grid. The lights will be on the gantry, the 3 red lights illuminated, which the drivers can see, and when they are extinguished, we'll be away and racing. And about 20 seconds later, that's when, of course, the 320Rs will be on their way, mixed up with the 270R class as well. So up towards the gantry, lights on, and the lights will disappear out now, and we're away and racing in the 420Rs for what is their 8th round of the championship so far. Mark Bennett looking to see whether he can hang on to the lead of the race, and it looks as though Diogo Costa got a good start there actually from 4th position, trying to thread his way through the order, but they are all safely in the 420Rs through Copse Corner, and as they head up towards Maggots and Beckett's for the first time, it's Mark Bennett that leads the way. Diogo Costa is there in 2nd place. Tom Greensall, I think, has dropped down into 3rd, possibly 4th place, as Jamie Elwood looks to try and attack. Yep, and goes through and into 3rd place. The 320Rs and the 270Rs get going. It'll be Michael Kearney at the wheel of the light blue and black car that will start from pole position in the 320s, and as they head up towards the first corner, is it going to be Caroline Everett, is it? Yes, that hits the front, so Caroline Everett goes through to grab the early race lead in the 320s. Up towards Stowe go the 420s, and it's Jamie Elwood, the championship leader in the 420s, coming into this weekend, that leads the way. Albeit he is under big pressure from Tom Greensall, and also looking to try and wiggle his way through is Stuart Calder with the gold rollover hoop. Stuart Calder will slot himself through into 2nd place. Diogo Costa is there in 3rd, fighting away with Tom Greensall. He edges Tom Greensall towards the edge of the circuit, and Greensall has little choice but to drop back into 4th, with Mark Stansfield there in 5th place, and Mark Bennett, the pole sitter, now down into 6th place already. But Jamie Elwood, who has done so much winning in Caterham Championships, there are very few Caterham Championships that Jamie Elwood has not won over the years. He is a multiple champion in various categories. He leads this championship, albeit earlier on today could only muster 8th position. Up towards the braking area for Village, and then on towards the loop they will thread their way. Remember, with the top 10 reversed, you're always guaranteed some overtaking in the early stages of this one, as cars position themselves further up through the order. There's Mark Farmer looking to try and make some progress still from what was 8th position on the grid for him. I don't think he's made a great deal of progress as yet. He's still probably hovering around 8th place as he weaves one way and weaves the other down the Wellington Straight to try and hang on to the position. But Jamie Elwood leads in the 420Rs. He's got Stuart Calder not that far behind him. Is Stuart going to attack for the lead of the race? No, he still sits there in 2nd with Diogo Costa in 3rd, and Mark Stansfield now up into 4th position. So out of Luffield, over the start-finish line again. You'll pick up the tow from the cars around him. Diogo Costa looking to try and make it 3 wide potentially as they come over the start-finish line. Stuart Calder is the meat in the Standwich. He's got Jamie Elwood to his right. He's got Diogo Costa to his left. And as they then turn their way through Copse, still looks as though the order might be the same. Jamie Elwood might just have still hung on to that lead of the race, albeit a rather small one in the early stages. No, Stuart Calder might make it through here. Yep, he goes through to pick up the lead of the race. And it is now going to be Jamie Elwood in 2nd place, Mark Stansfield in 3rd, and Diogo Costa in the light green car dropping down into 4th position. Tom Greensall is still there in 5th, and I think that's JJ Margelheis who will complete the top 6 at this stage as they thread their way out of Chapel and onto the Hanger Straight for the 2nd lap this time through. So back to the 320Rs. Caroline Everett was leading the way, and she still leads the pack up towards Copse Corner. I think that will be Tim Steele who's there in 2nd place, the aluminium polished car with the yellow mud flaps to it. And who is he doing battle with? Try and pick out the car that's there in 3rd position. I think that might be Stuart Bell, is it? Yeah, it looks like Stuart Bell's car who's there in 3rd place, albeit Paul Sethi I think might ultimately grab 3rd. Yes, he does. The Dayglow green car is there in 3rd, which means that Stuart Bell drops down into 4th position. And then 5th I think is Scott Parker, with Paul Goldstein not that far behind as well. So they thread their way onto the Hanger Straight, and again you see that weaving around to try and break the toe on the car that's ahead. Paul Sethi looking for 2nd place up the inside of Tim Steele. Can he make it through on the run towards Stowe Corner? Yes, he can. So the number 42 car goes through into 2nd place in the 320Rs. Tim Steele's there in 3rd, and 4th is going to be Stuart Bell at this stage, but he's got his hands rather full, hasn't he? He's got Scott Parker to drive us right at the moment in the orange car with the black rollover hoop but with the orange foam on it. And I think it is going to be Scott Parker that might just take 4th place away here from Stuart Bell. He's got the inside line for the 2nd part of club, and albeit he squeezes Stuart Bell on the exit of the corner, but he's just got his nose ahead still, and he'll have the all-important inside line when they head up towards Farm in a moment. Paul Sethi looking for the lead of the race, tries at the inside of Caroline Everett, bounces over the curbs on the apex of Abbey, but has not been able to unlock the door. And because he tried something and it didn't work, I think Tim Steele has gone through, has he? Yes. So Paul Sethi was looking for the lead, he tries it, it doesn't work, he actually loses a place. So this is typical 7 Racing Championship action, brought to you by Goodstone Services this weekend. Paul Goldstein in the gold car, looking to try and work his way through the order. He had a fairly quiet first race, just slowly worked his way through the order, and ultimately he finished in 3rd place of the 310Rs. So down towards the braking area for Brooklands they'll go. The 420s, the 310s and the 270s all together on the same grid for this weekend. And as they now flick their way through Luffield, Paul Goldstein having to stick his elbows out and trying to work his way past Michael Curley. Number 99 car is looking to try and hold off now Russ Olivant, I think, who is going to gain a place. So over the start-finish line come the 310Rs. Caroline Everett still leading the way from Paul Sethi and Tim Steele. Back to the 420s, and it's Jamie Elwood that leads the way still, from Mark Stansfield now in 2nd place. Stuart Calder is there in 3rd in the number 82 car. JJ Margle-Heiss has now made it up into 4th place. 5th place will be Diogo Costa. And 6th at the moment, just with his nose ahead, is number 23 Tom Greensall. But he's got Mark Farmer to driver's left, trying to work his way up through the order. Remember, Mark had a good run earlier on, had a little bit of damage to the car, but that was just cosmetic damage. And he has now picked off the car that he was looking to try and squeeze his way through and past. In towards the braking area for Village. Jamie Elwood still leading the way, still with Mark Stansfield and the next car right behind as well, which is going to be the car of Stuart Calder with the gold rollover hoop. Further down through the order, JJ Margle-Heiss Jr. is having a good little fight as well. He's at the wheel of the number 61 car, totally different livery to his father. And it's going to be Mark Stansfield now that picks up the toe off Jamie Elwood and leads as they head up towards the braking area for Brooklands. So Mark Stansfield led the race earlier on briefly and ultimately finished as the runner-up to Anthony Barnes. There was just 0.2 of a second between them after 25 minutes of racing earlier on today. They squeezed out 11 laps into this one. They're about to come over the start-finish line now and head on to lap number 3. So as ever, wherever you look, there will be squabbles. Is Jamie Elwood going to go back to the lead of the race? Yep, up the inside at Copse Corner on Mark Stansfield he goes. Mark Stansfield keeps his foot planted, and I think he's going to retake the lead on the exit of the corner. And is he going to bring Stuart Calder with him now as well? The gold rollover hoop in the hands of Stuart Calder. He's still there in 3rd for the moment. Fastest lap of the race that time through. Went to the car that's now in 6th position, which is Mark Farmer. 1 minute 23.906. Mark's is the red car with the black wheel arches to it, in the hands of the former GT3 racer. And now they'll pick their way onto the Hangar Straight. Now Mark Stansfield leading at the start of the Hangar Straight probably means he won't be leading by the end of it, as Jamie Elwood jinks out from behind, draws himself alongside. Is Elwood going to retake the lead of the race? No, Mark Stansfield has the inside line. Jamie Elwood doesn't want the lead just as yet, and now he needs to also be conscious that he's got Stuart Calder absolutely in his wheel tracks. JJ Margle-Heiss, the silver car with the Dayglow orange rollover hoop, looking to try and also get in on the mix. Back to the 310Rs and what's going on. Well, Caroline Everett still leads that from Paul Sethi, but Stuart Bell has got good momentum. You can see his Dayglow orange rollover hoop to his car, and now is he going for the lead of the race? No, he jinks out from behind but still stays in 3rd place. So it's Caroline Everett from Paul Sethi, from then the car that ran a little bit wide, Stuart Bell, who has given up a place to Tim Steele, whose yellow car has gone through. Tim Steele has got Ross Olivant now behind him as well. So for Stuart Bell, just a slight slidey moment, dropped him down from 3rd down into 5th place. And now again, they all start to slipstream each other. Paul Sethi drops out from behind the slipstream of Caroline Everett, and in the 310s, he is going to pick up the lead of the race, or is he, as they head up towards Stowe Corner. He's going to go wheel to wheel through Stowe Corner, but cannot quite as yet grab the lead of the race. Going to try and pick up on who's leading the 270Rs as well in a few moments' time, as the 310s head down in towards the braking area for the club chicane. And Paul Sethi draws himself alongside Caroline Everett, just avoids any contact between the pair of them as the circuit tightens up, and sits behind. So it's still Caroline Everett from Paul Sethi, then the car of Stuart Bell, and then it will be the yellow machine, I think, next up, of Tim Steele. In the 270s at this stage, it looks as though leading the 270s down in 36th position is going to be the number 21 car, which will be Alex Coombs, who is the leader of the 270Rs. So that's the order that they are in as things currently stand. The 310s, though, just heading up towards the loop. They are on lap number 5 at the moment. And Caroline Everett, I think, has led every lap in the 310s so far. But look at the pressure that's building. More and more cars stacking up behind her. And in typical Caterham fashion, once they all start to squabble, they slow each other up. The next car catches and adds to the list. The next car catches and adds to the list. So up towards Brooklands. Paul Sethi is going to this time pick up the lead in the 310s. He goes through to grab the lead of the race from Caroline Everett. It's going to be still Stuart Bell who's there in 3rd place, but he's got Ross Oliphant, the race 1 winner, the number 33 car, right behind him, sitting there in 4th position. Then it's Tim Steele who is next up. And in fact, Tim Steele, I think, is going to try and squeeze his way through and ahead of the race 1 winner, Ross Oliphant, in the 310s. So those two absolutely side by side as they come over the start-finish line. And they're now on to lap number 5 this time through. So through Copse Corner go the lead train. At the back of that little pack is the number 150 car, which is Paul Goldstein. So he finished in, what was it, 3rd position, did I say, in the 310Rs earlier on today. Back to the 420s though, and it's still Mark Stansfield that is leading the 420s at the moment, but big pressure coming on from behind, from the red and the white and the gold car in the hands of Stuart Calder. Jamie Elwood still sitting there in 3rd position. So Jamie Elwood, the championship leader coming into this weekend, actually hasn't claimed a win so far this year, has Jamie Elwood. But he's finished 2nd on 2 occasions, he's finished 3rd, he's had a couple of 4ths, he's had 5ths. His worst result of the season was the race earlier on today when he finished in 8th position. But 8th place in this still gains you 40 championship points. It's 50 points for the win. Change for the lead this time through. Stuart Calder picks up the lead of the race. Stuart, who has had a bit of an up and down season really, had a couple of good results at Donington where he finished, I think, just outside of the top 10, top 15 in both of those races. And then the 3rd race at Donington sort of didn't happen for him. Then it was Brands Hatch where just a single race ultimately took place. His best result was Alton Park, was it, last time out, where he had a good run. See what he might be able to do in this one. So there's a good fight going on. Car number 133 is Barry Benham. He's having to stick his elbows out to hang on to the place. Barry a little bit further down through the order, just outside of the top 10 at the moment. But back to the race leaders. Mark Stansfield retakes the lead of the race away from Stuart Calder. And they are now on lap number 6 this time through. Fastest lap of the race went to the silver car with the Dayglow rollover hoop last time through. Number 62, the Portuguese driver, JJ Margelheis, who sits there in 4th position. Now here we go, Stuart Calder going back for the lead of the race, jinks to the inside line this time and slipstreams his way back into the lead and ahead of Mark Stansfield. There's lock brakes from Jamie Elwood as he heads up towards Stowe and picks up 2nd position. So it's now Stuart Calder from Jamie Elwood, from Mark Stansfield, from JJ Margelheis. Mark Farmer is there in 5th position. And we'll work out who's in 6th at the moment when they turn in towards the corner. Can't quite pick out who that is. I think that's Wes Payne who's there in 6th place. He started this lap in 7th, but yeah, that's the grey car with the orange rollover hoop, so that's number 50, Wes Payne. Then it's going to be Diogo Costa. But back to the 310s, an early race leader in the 310s. Caroline Everett is there in 3rd position at the moment. It's going to be Paul Sethi that leads the 310s from Stuart Bell. And Caroline Everett in the blue and the green car, followed by Russ Oliphant, and then Paul Goldstein, I think, is 5th of the 310s currently. Slidey moment mid-corner for Caroline Everett, who's been racing this car, in this livery actually, for a good number of years now, has Caroline Everett, and has that slowed her speed onto the Hanger Straight. May well have done. Looking for the lead of the race is Stuart Bell. He moves out from behind Paul Sethi. And now also Ross Oliphant will pick up the slipstream. And are we going to be 3 wide at Stowe? No, they all sort themselves out. It's going to be Stuart Bell now that picks up the lead in the 310s. And Ross Oliphant is trying to go around the outside of Paul Sethi to see if he can squeeze his way through into 2nd position. Only got 10 minutes of the race still to go already. It's absolutely flown by. Brilliant racing again from the Macmillan Motorsport 7 Racing Championship. So Stuart Bell leading the 310s from the race 1 winner earlier on today, Russ Oliphant. Caroline Everett, Paul Sethi, and then the next of the cars thereafter. And Ross Oliphant, I think for the first time here, might hit the front. Yep, inside line. Through he goes, picks up the place. So it's 5 for the lead of the race. And as we go back to the 420s, there's a little bit of damage there. A little bit of bodywork flapping around on JJ Margelheis's car, I think that is. But leading the 420s is going to be the car of Stuart Calder from Mark Stansfield and then Jamie Elwood. And fourth in the 420s at the moment, that is going to be Wes Payne, who's gained another place that time through. So he's now up into fourth position. Started that lap in, I think, seventh, finished it in fifth, and has picked up another place when they've got to the start-finish line. So through Stowe Corner, left rear wheel arch missing off the overall race leading car in the hands of Mark Stansfield. That won't cause him any grief at all. Very much a disposable part on a Caterham, the wheel arches on the cars. There's usually a collection of them outside race control at the end of a race meeting. So Mark Stansfield leading the way. Stuart Calder in second position. Bit of traffic potentially as well that might need dealing with before too much longer. So they thread their way through the Kinkert Abbey and up towards Farm Corner. And the car that they're going to catch slap bang in the middle of Village and the Loop. Is the back marker going to see them and hopefully move out of harm's way? No, they catch them slap bang in the middle of the twisty parts. So good work by the back marker, moving out of harm's way. That was Merton Wood, who's almost got two wheels on the curb to make sure he stays totally out of harm's way. So that was good observational driving from Merton Wood there to make sure that he doesn't compromise the run of the front runners. Merton Wood, who runs in the 270 class, and we didn't see him out at Donington, but he has been a regular since then. So all of the 420s safely past that traffic, and now they can start to roll their sleeves up and slug it out again. A wide line taken for the number 50 car of Wes Payne through Luffield to try and get a better exit and get fully onto the coattails of the car that lies ahead, which is Stuart Calder, but he's got JJ Margelheis sitting right behind him. Then you've got the number 4 car of Anthony Barnes, who I don't think we've even mentioned in this race as yet. He's now worked his way up 2 places from 8th to 6th on that lap. The former champion, man who lies 5th in the championship standings coming into this weekend, having had a non-finish at Alton Park in the previous round. One good thing about this championship is that you count your races less 2. You drop your 2 worst scores in reality, so that's one round that Anthony Barnes will be dropping, but come the totting up at the end of the season, you can guarantee that that number 4 car will be more than in the championship reckoning. So on to the Hanger Straight. They'll go again. Mark Stansfield under pressure. Jamie Elwood jinks out from behind the slipstream. It's going to be Elwood this time that leads as they head up to the second part of the Hanger Straight. So Mark Stansfield drops behind the new race leader. They all fan out again as they get up towards Stowe Corner. Stuart Calder trying to get up the inside of Mark Stansfield for second place. Wes Payne is there as well. They all lean on each other. There's a bit of a wiggle mid-corner from Wes Payne, which allows JJ Margelheis and then Anthony Barnes to go through. And again, Jamie Elwood locked brakes in a squirrely moment as he heads onto the brakes in towards Club Corner. Less than 7 minutes remaining, 7 laps completed. Remember, we got 11 laps out of the race earlier on today, and it's anyone you want of probably, 10 cars for the lead as they head up towards Farm. And I think it's going to be, oh, there's a problem. That's the number 5 car that's in Pete Reimer that's had the spin. That's down at Club. So he'll get the car pointing in the right direction and continue, but he's dropped a few places as a result of that. Pete Reimer was running in 11th position. Right, what's going on in the 310s, I hear you ask? Well, Ross Ollivant has now not just taken the lead of the 310s, but has broken away a little bit from Stuart Bell, who's second of the 310s at the moment. And it's the green car, which will be Paul Sethi. Caroline Everett in her green and blue car is next up, and Paul Goldstein still sitting there, just quietly waiting in 5th position. And Paul is one of those canny drivers that will just make sure he's in the right place at the right time. So he'll be content with 6 minutes to go just to sit there in 5th place. Caroline Everett is not content to sit there in 4th as she dives up the inside of Paul Sethi to grab the position away, and that now puts her up into 3rd place. Sethi drops down into 4th place, and this is just allowing Russ Ollivant to edge away, actually. You can see ever more the blue car, the metallic blue car with the white stripes and the white rollover hoop is just edging away Ross Ollivant. And what might he be able to do? Ross Ollivant, we haven't seen a great deal of him. We saw him at Alton Park where he finished 3rd and 2nd. He claimed the win earlier on today. So he's way down. He's 19th in the championship standings in the 310R category coming into this weekend, but he's had a solid weekend, and now he's done the hard work. He's broken the toe to a large degree on those behind. And can he just try and push as hard as he can if they start to work together behind him, they'll get back there again. But at the moment, they're all busy squabbling away. Big sideways moment for Paul Sethi for the 410s again, 420s I should say, for the lead of the race. It is Mark Stansfield that has retaken the lead from Jamie Elwood, but look at the shuffling behind. There's a bit of contact further back as well, as body parts are, or body work is shed. I think that was Tom Greenstall's car that shed a little bit of body work that time through. But it is Mark Stansfield that leads the 420Rs, but I doubt for much longer, because they have continually chopped and changed. Stuart Calder got a bit tight there. Mark Farmer's in the number 41 trying to wiggle his way through and up into 4th place in the 420R. Stuart Calder braving out round the outside at club, runs very wide with 2 wheels onto the dirt and into the gravel. That will compromise his exit speed, and that's going to cost him 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 places as they head up towards Farm. I think it's just 3 in the end, as he just manages to stick his elbows out and prevent losing that 4th position. But that's just allowed the front 2 now, with 4 minutes to go for the moment, to get a little mini breakaway, or the front 3 probably, because I think JJ Margelheis is there as well. So Mark Stansfield, Jamie Elwood and JJ Margelheis, the top 3, and everybody fighting to be 4th at the moment. The fastest lap of the race is still with JJ Margelheis, the number 62 car, Portuguese driver who's been a regular racing in the Sevens Racing Championship for a good couple of years now. And up towards Brooklands, Margelheis is squeezing Jamie Elwood, but Jamie Elwood has the inside line for Brooklands and gets it done before they get towards Luffield Corner. So the multiple champion in Caterham Racing, Jamie Elwood, and the championship leader, remember, in the 420Rs, still there in 2nd place at the moment, and now will set his sights about trying to just close up the little bit of a gap that's opened up between Mark Stansfield, the overall race leader, and the chasing pack behind. So they're now on to lap number 10. So this will be their penultimate lap of the race this time through. Still the best part of 10 or so cars fighting for the lead. In fact, I think it is 10 cars, because I think the car that's in 10th position is number 44, the man who started from pole, Mark Bennett. As for the 310s, well, Ross Olivant has cemented that advantage and has just pulled away now. He's fully broken the toe on the cars behind, and that's going to be terribly hard for them to try and get back to him now. So he's on his own for the lead of the race. Caroline Everett under pressure from Paul Sethi, who comes from a long way back up the inside at Village, but Caroline should be able to hang on to it when they head up towards the loop. So she hangs on to 2nd, and 3rd is still Paul Sethi. But this little squabble is just going to allow Russ Olivant to pull away again, ever more in the lead of the race. He'll open up that advantage in the 310s. Paul Goldstein has now moved up, I think, to 4th in the 310s, and Stuart Bell has now, with the orange Dayglow rollover hoop, dropped down to 5th in the 310s as they make their way up towards Brooklands, and will very shortly start their final lap of the race. Penultimate lap of the race. So Ross Olivant doing a grand old job of controlling the pace at the front of the 310s. As for the 270s, let's just see if we can pick up on who's leading the 270s once more, because for the camera team that is so difficult to try and pick out the cars with 48 on the grid. As I scroll through, it is still, albeit now down in 38th position, going to be Alex Coombs who leads the 270Rs at this stage. So out of Copse Corner go the 310s. You can see the lead advantage that Ross Olivant has between Paul Sethi and Caroline Everett. Through Copse Corner, you can just hear the squeal of the tyres. So many cars running wide as well, beyond the track limits. You're allowed to run out to the black and white painted curb, but in theory not beyond it. But several of the cars just taking so much apex speed through Copse, which is a very fast corner, that they just can't stay within the confines of the circuit. But our race leader is about to start the final lap of the race this time through. Mark Stansfield leads the way from Jamie Elwood, who is, I think, just going to be content to sit there for the moment. He's sitting in the slipstream of Mark Stansfield. Is he going to try something at Copse? If he tries it now, then he knows that probably the Hanger Straight is where he would lose the lead of the race again, and that's not a problem because he can still get it back on the Wellington Straight. So Jamie Elwood hits the front. Mark Stansfield tries to get the overlap and come back at him on the run down towards Maggots and Beckett's this time through. It is going to be a new fastest lap of the race for Anthony Barnes in 4th place on that lap with a 2 minutes 23.031 from him. So it's 4 for the lead of the race in the 420Rs. Mark Stansfield from Jamie Elwood, from JJ Margelheis, from Anthony Barnes, the race 1 winner. And we'll find out in the best part of another 2 or 3 miles as to who is going to be the winner in race 2, which is round 8 of the championship for the 420Rs, but it's actually round 9 of the championship for the 320s. Up towards Stowe they'll go. Mark Stansfield under pressure from Jamie Elwood. Jamie Elwood retakes the lead of the race. Stansfield down to second place. Anthony Barnes taking a nice wide sweep through Stowe, but he's still there in 4th behind JJ Margelheis at this stage. And they all get themselves back to being side by side, do they, in towards the braking area for Club. Elwood leads. Mark Stansfield 2nd, JJ Margelheis 3rd, Anthony Barnes with the fastest lap of the race sitting there next up. He will pick up the moment the extra championship point that goes with setting the fastest lap of the race, and there's a bit of traffic as well just up the road that they might have to contend with before too much longer. And they're going to meet that probably right in the final complex, maybe up towards Brooklands and Luffield potentially. And that is not what Mark Stansfield would want, because he's under big pressure from Jamie Elwood, the championship leader, who is trying to hunt down his first win of the 2025 championship season. Mark Stansfield has already claimed a win earlier on this year, and that came at Alton Park, round 5 of the championship. He'd desperately like to make it 2, but Jamie Elwood would like to make it 1. Who's going to pick up the final podium spot as well? Because that is Anthony Barnes, who's running wheel to wheel with JJ Margelheis, who runs a little bit wide, coming out of Aintree corner, dips 2 wheels onto the grass, and that means that Anthony Barnes has the inside line when they head up towards the braking area for Brooklands. Is he going to grab 3rd place from JJ Margelheis? We'll find out. They do meet the back markers in the final complex. Mark Stansfield looking to try and make it 2 wins this season. Jamie Elwood, the championship leader, it's good championship points for him, even if he finishes in 2nd place, but he'd dearly like a win. He jinks out from behind Mark Stansfield. They deal with the back marker. One goes one way, one goes the other, and it is going to be Mark Stansfield that wins the 2nd race this weekend for the Sevens Racing Series, brought to you by Goodstone Supplies. It's Jamie Elwood in 2nd place, with JJ Margelheis finishing in 3rd position. Anthony Barnes, the race 1 winner, in 4th place. Stuart Calder and Mark Farmer will wrap up the top 6. But for the 310Rs, they of course still have a good chunk of racing to do, and you can see just how strong some of the battles are further down through the order as well. Squeal of the tyres as they head round through Stowe. And this enormous pack of cars now heading in towards the braking area for Club for the lead of the 310s. It looks as though Ross Ollivant has got the job done, hasn't he? He escaped up the road several laps ago, and now it is just, 5 cars trying to work out who's going to finish 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th in what will be the 310Rs. At the moment, it's Paul Sethi who sits there 2nd of the 310Rs. Paul Goldstein in the gold car is up to 3rd and has almost a little bit of contact as Stuart Bell and Caroline Everett almost rub off each other, but Caroline Everett really sticks her elbows out and says no, that's not happening at all. Stuart Calder will look to try and get a better exit coming out of the corner, but he needs to be conscious he's got Tim Steele in the silver and yellow car right behind him, so they head on to the Wellington Straight for the final time. Ross Ollivant's going to take the win in the 310s because he's up the road, but any one of these 5 cars could fill the final 2 podium spots that are available in the 310Rs. Up towards the braking area for Brooklands. Do they all avoid each other? They lean on each other, but Paul Goldstein is up into 2nd place now in the 310Rs. Paul Sethi down into 3rd. Caroline Everett is there in 4th place, but it's going to be Ross Ollivant at the wheel of the number 33 car that's going to take another win in the 310Rs. He comes over the start-finish line to win their 9th round of the championship, and then we wait the arrival of the next couple of cars, which is going to be through to finish in 2nd place in the 310s. It looked like it was Paul Sethi who finished in 2nd place, did he, in the 310s, from Paul Goldstein, who was 3rd. Couldn't quite tell from there on that angle because we didn't quite see them as they went over the start-finish line. It was Ross Ollivant from Paul Goldstein, from Paul Sethi, from Caroline Everett, from Stuart Bell, from Tim Steele, and Rob Good finished in, I think that'll be 6th place, won't it, in the 310s potentially. The man who has supported the live stream for the Sevens Racing Championship for this weekend. So a few more cars to trickle their way over the start-finish line. Let's just confirm as to who won the 270s, because I think that car will now have taken the checkered flag, and it does look as though it was another win in the 270s for Alex Coombs. That will rather please him, to say the least. 2 wins out of 2 in the 270s. Didn't see much of him, but with 48 cars there and our camera crew having to work terribly hard to try and work out where the battles are, and with the 270s being mixed up with the 310s, it's not the work of a moment. So apologies that we probably didn't show as much of the 270s as we would wish. So cars making their way around the circuit. We can shortly confirm some results for you for the Macmillan 7 Racing UK Championship, brought to you by Goodstone Supplies, and what was another fantastic race from all of the cars, and I think hardly a retirement in it from what I could see. So let's just confirm some results for you then. We won't go through them all because there's 48 cars to get through. Mark Stansfield claims the win, his second of the season, from Jamie Elwood, the championship leader, in second place, and JJ Margleheis was third. Anthony Barnes, the race 1 winner, was fourth, ahead of Stuart Calder and Mark Farmer, who completed the top sixth. Then it was Wes Payne from Tom Greensill, followed by the number 44 car that was next up, Mark Bennett, the pole sitter. Just outside of the top 10, we saw JJ Margleheis Jr., and if you look then outside of the top 20, that's when you'll start to see where the 310R winner was. In 23rd position, car number 33, Russ Ollivant, took the win in the 310s from Paul Goldstein and then Paul Sethi, who were 24th and 25th respectively, but were second and third in the 310s. Then as we move outside of the top 30, down in about 38th position, I think it was, no, 36th in the end, was where we see the winner of the 270s, which was Alex Coombe. And you can see the rest of the finishers from there on of the 48 cars that started, and 46 cars, in fact maybe there might have been a few gaps on the grid. 46 cars started, all 46 finished as well. Fastest lap of the race went to Anthony Barnes with a 2 minute 23.031, so he will pick up the extra championship point that goes with it. So that's it from the Sevens Racing Championship, brought to you by Good Stone Supplies here at Silverstone. Their final 3 races that each category will have will take place at Snetterton on the 20th and 21st of September. So from everybody here at Silverstone, until next time, goodbye.